Next, Anton is going to talk to us about, most of you have heard about AI and machine learning and all of these new technologies. I think what Junior's covered is the importance of the basics. But I think what cloud offers as an opportunity is to look at the basics and deal with the basics in potentially very different and innovative ways. And Brad mentioned earlier opportunities to leapfrog companies that have been on the data journey earlier. I think cloud does bring some of this opportunity with it, and Anton's going to cover that next.
Hi, everybody. It's Anton Haupt. I've been the IT guy for 25 years now. I should probably tell you right up front that I love AWS Cloud Stack, and I consider myself an AWS evangelist. But I've got a story to tell. I started my IT career on the AS400s as a coder back in the 90s. It was a cool time to be a coder, as most IT shops at that time were writing bespoke systems. Storage was expensive though, and tightly coupled to the processing. Data was siloed, difficult to access, and the databases were primitive. I cut my teeth on Y2K projects. The tool sets were primitive, but that was the past, right? Well, actually, that continues to be the current reality. All those legacy operational systems are still alive and well, and they continue to underpin many major enterprises today. The good news is that data stands alone from operational systems, and we have a wonderful opportunity to modernize systems by tackling the data issue first. About 6 years ago, I was tasked with reimagining a data solution for a fintech. They were sitting with a number of on-premise data sources in all sorts of formats. We had AS400s, SQL servers, MariaDB database instances. They had a warehouse that was running on an AS400 that was not fit for purpose and had come to the end of life. The turnaround times to effect changes were too slow. We had unstructured data sitting on any one of a number of servers and filing systems. And you really had to know who to ask if you needed to find something. That was our data swamp. Our reporting layer was a shambles, and we were taking a beating from the auditors. What's more, we had very expensive resources sitting in our cons teams who were spending a lot of time sitting on their hands, waiting for their data models to run. I mean, run times could take up to 12 hours. So we were not using our data effectively or efficiently. There was an urgent need to redefine our data layer, and so I started exploring the cloud offerings, and I found the journey enlightening. What I saw really made me sit up straight, and I got very excited about what was available. Cloud storage is cheap, scalable, highly available, and it's managed for you. No one wants to manage their own data centers. And there are a wide array of integrated services available to process your data. We adopted a Laycast architecture. This is a relatively new concept. It's very much a cloud-enabled architecture and is evolving all the time. It combines the best of the data warehouse architecture and data lake architecture. Its biggest benefit is that it decouples storage from processing. In other words, your storage and processing requirements can scale independently from one another. On the storage side, unstructured and raw data typically gets stored in the cloud data lake. There are a number of tools to do this. We are using syncing services to synchronize our on-premise network file shares to our cloud data lake. We are using ETL tools to cherry pick data. We are using database migration services to replicate databases in their entirety, either as a once-off or on an ongoing basis. One also has the option of replicating to a target database that is different from a source database, which is very powerful. On the processing front, there's still very much a need to curate data into a format that can be consumed by your users. Raw data needs to be sanitized, transformed, and business rules need to be applied. This function was traditionally fulfilled by a standalone data warehouse. The modern cloud data warehouses are not standalone anymore. They've become virtualized to some extent and now share the same storage space as your raw data. There are a number of data processing tool offerings. Most of them are serverless and managed for you. and you typically are charged on a pay-as-you-go basis. But importantly, they scale independently of storage. What this means is one is able to load and query data simultaneously without impacting performance. And one can also onboard users without performance degradation. In my experience, getting the data into the cloud is half the battle won. Once in the cloud, the processing speeds are incomparable to on-premise solutions. There are a number of offerings for presenting and consuming data. We made a deliberate move away from static reports with a preference for the use of dynamic dashboards and self-service BI. This measure goes a long way to protecting client personal information. We're still very much in the infancy on our machine learning journey. Importantly, however, we have the data sitting in the right place where it can be readily accessed when we initiate these projects. Another big win for our analysts I want to mention is that they are now able to view all their cloud data from a single place. So they are able to access data from disparate cloud sources in a single SQL statement. That is super efficient and very powerful. Within the space of 3 years, we were able to deliver a robust and future-proof data platform. Our users regained faith in the reporting layer. The analysts have been empowered to use the data effectively and efficiently, and the business was able to drive value from their data. Our story is not unique. Many corporations are embracing their cloud journey by addressing the data issue first. So check it out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anton. Duran, while you get your slides up, if you can just say a few words. So I think what's particularly useful is that Anton's advice was coming obviously from experience in a fintech and in the lending environment and how it has helped transform his organization. I think the idea, without getting too technical, I'm assuming many of you have heard of a data warehouse and of a data lake. But the lake house concept is really very interesting because it enables you to scale separately your storage and your processing. So maybe in the beginning, your challenge is around storage, and later you might want to scale and get more tools in your processing. You can do this independently. Much of the advice that you're going to be given is about a one-stop shopping and big bang. But actually, what Anton has been sharing is enable yourself to pick your battles and pick your tools as needed. And it can be successfully done if you open your mind to hybrid solutions and choosing best of breed. And I think the actual word lake house is a great conceptual idea actually about how to achieve that. So thank you. Thank you, Anton.